Hi friends, my name is Akil Ahmed, and in this particular video tutorial we will see how we can add, modify and delete the columns to a SQL Server table. So the agenda of today's video tutorial is that we will see like how can we add, modify and delete the columns to a SQL table. So without wasting further time, let's jump to the demo. I got a SQL Server table here, sales.creditcard, and this particular table exists in the AdventureWorks 2019 database. You can download this database from the Microsoft site, or you can also test the queries that I will write here on any SQL Server table, like whatever table you have in your own database. So in this particular table, it's a credit card table and it contains few columns. So suppose I want to add a new column in this table, and maybe I can call the new column as bank name. So like how I can add the column? So there are two methods to add the column in the table once it is already created. So if a table is not created, then initially you can add a column, of course, but because the table is already created, so now you can add a column either using a GUI, or you can also add it using the SQL query as well. Okay, so how you can add it using the GUI? So you need to right click on the table and then go to the design, and here you can add a new column. So suppose I want to add a new column like bank name, so I can type the bank name and then I can provide the data type here. For example, I can provide the values like varchar 50 here. Okay, and then there is an option like allow nulls or not. So the by default this option will be checked in. Okay, now if you save this particular table, then this table will have the new column like bank name. Okay, so if I check the table now, so it has the bank name. Okay, and same way you can delete that column as well, and then I will show you like how you can do that using the SQL query. So to delete a column, you can right click on the column and then you can simply click on delete column. And if you want to change the data type here, or you want to increase the length or decrease the length, so you can do that as well. So let me just delete the column right now from here using the GUI, and then we'll add it using the SQL query. So now if you will rerun the query, then the column have been removed from the table. Okay, so now let's see like how we can add the column using the SQL query. And yeah, that's one of the widely used method. And the best thing with the SQL queries is that you can write the queries now and you can execute them later as well. Like for example, you can write some SQL alter queries which can add the columns, modify the columns and can delete the columns, and you can put those queries in a SSIS package, and then the SSIS package can be rerun multiple times, so every time you don't need to do the same thing using the GUI, manually. You can automate this thing as well. So let's add a column like bank name to the SQL Server table sales.creditcard. Okay, so how we can add the column? We can write the alter table here, alter table, and then the table name. So our table name is this one, sales.creditcard, and then to add a column we will write add and then the new column name. So I want to add a new column with the name like bank name, and then we need to provide the data type here. So I want to create the table with the data type as varchar and the length is 50. Okay, so if you want to add a column without any default constants, then you can simply execute this particular query and this will add a column to the SQL Server table. So now if you select the data from the table, so it will select one additional column, bank name, that we just added here. Okay, however, if you think that the length of the bank name like the 50 length, this is not enough and you want to increase the length, then you need to write the alter query. So if you want to check like how much is the length of a particular column for a field, so you can write sp_help query here, and then you just need to pass the table name and along with the schema name as well. Okay, and of course the DBO schema is optional. So if the schema of your table is DBO, then you can just pass the table name without the schema. Okay, so here you can see that these are the columns and this is the data type of every column and this is the length. So here you can see that for the bank name the type is varchar and the length is 50. So suppose I want to increase the length from 50 to 100, so I can write an alter table statement here. So you can write alter table and then the table name. So I can copy the table name from here and then alter column, and now you need to provide the column name. So my column name is bank name, and then you need to provide the new data type like varchar 100. Okay, so now if you execute this particular query, so this will be an alter query. alter table and alter column. So this will change the data type of a column. So if you recheck the columns from SQL Server table, then you can see that the length of the bank name has been increased to 100 from 50. Okay, so this was about like how you can alter the length of a column. And now suppose if you want to delete the column from a particular table, so like you added a column bank name, okay, but now you want to delete that column. So how you can delete that? So you can write alter table and then the table name, whatever is your table name, and then you can write drop column and then the column name. So I want to drop the bank name, so I can provide the bank name here. And now if you execute this particular query, then the column will be deleted from your SQL Server table. Okay, yeah, so this was few points while adding the new columns to a SQL Server table. So what happens when you add a new column to a SQL Server table? Then by default it will have the value as null. Okay, but sometimes and majority of the times I have seen that whenever we need to add the new columns to the SQL Server table, then ideally the table should have the empty space here. They should not have the null values but the empty values. So it depends on the kind of requirement and it depends from project to project. In some projects they prefer the null values, and in some projects, in some databases, they want the empty values. So in those scenarios where you want to add a column with an empty space, you can write like alter table, table name, and then add column name, data type, and not null. Okay, and after that you can use the default constants, default blank value. Okay, so this way this will add the new column. Okay, and the new column, this will have the empty space instead of the null value. Okay, so let me drop the bank name column from here, and now when I will add this column with the new query, then the new column will be added and it will have the empty space. Okay, it won't have the null value. Yeah, so this is how you can do that particular thing. And sometimes we need to add the new column, for example like the create date, and you want the current date time, for example, in that particular table. So how you can do that? So in those scenarios as well, you can use the default constants, and in the default constants you can provide the current date time value. Okay, like I can add a column here, create date, and the data type will be date time here, because I want to store the current date time value, like whenever a record will be inserted, and now not null. And now inside the default value, instead of the value like blank, I can provide the value from the getDate function. So I can use the getDate function here. So this way it will add a new column, create date, with the data type as date time. Okay, and it will have the default value as current date time. So if I execute this particular query, so this will add an extra new column, create date, and now it has the current date time value in it. Okay, and now whenever you will try to insert a data into this particular table, and for example if you ignore the value into this particular column or into the bank name, then the bank name will have the value as blank value in the new record, and the create date will have the value as the current date time in that particular record. Okay, yeah, so this was about like how you can add the new columns to the SQL Server table, how you can modify the columns to the SQL Server table, and how you can drop the column from the existing table. So you can find all these queries from the link in the description of the video. Yeah, so I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you like the video, then please click the like button. Do subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and click on all so that you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much.